Hey y'all, so today we're going to talk about names, and I'm going to tell you how I came up with the name Carolina Dean for myself. So let's get the shock over in the beginning. For those of you who don't know, my real name is not Carolina Dean. Um, my real name is Paul Dean Harris Jr. I've made no secret about that. It's on the very first page of my website, the introductory page. Um, and I went by Paul probably the first 18 or 19 years of my life. My family still calls me Paul. But around the age of 19, I decided to start going by my middle name, Dean. Now, by this time, I had graduated high school and I'd been working at the Piggly Wiggly. And I started out as a bagger and worked my way up to a bookkeeper. And um, a change had occurred in my personality. Working with the public forced me out of my shell because I had been really introverted and shy up until I started working with the public. But working with the public, you have to be able to interact with people, you have to be able to initiate conversations, and what have you. So by this time, I'd come out of my shell, and I no longer felt like Paul. And so I decided to start going by my name of Dean because Paul was shy and introverted. Dean had more confidence, was a little more extroverted, and it just felt more like who I was. Now, even as I studied other magical religions and systems, I knew that choosing a new name for yourself to represent your evolving spirituality wasn't anything new. As a Wiccan, I had a Wiccan name. When I studied ceremonial magic, I had a magical motto, which is another way of having a magical name. I know that in Catholicism, when children get baptized, they may choose a baptismal name, or when nuns take their vows, they take on a new name, such as Sister Mary Ruth or what have you. Um, so when I began going down the road of hoodoo, I thought I needed some type of new name as well. Now here I want to hit the pause button real quick to talk about honorifics in hoodoo. You hear about people with names like Papa Jim or Aunt Carolina Di. Um, these titles are honorifics because, when someone calls you Papa or Mama or Auntie, it means that they respect you, they respect your work, they like you, what have you. So an honorific is not something that you give yourself, it's something that you earned. So I would never call myself Papa Dean because I don't give that title to myself. Well, number one, it sounds like maybe I sell pizza, but I would never give that title to myself. But if you, my viewers, the people who watch read my website, watch my videos, like my Instagram posts, if you were to refer to me as Papa, then I would accept that and I would be honored because it means you respect me, you respect my work. And then if enough people consistently called me Papa, maybe at some point I'd call myself Papa Dean. But, an honorific is not something you just assume. It's something that you earn. It's given to you. So it kind of irritates me when I see, little 12 and 13-year-olds on Facebook calling themselves Papa this or Mama that when, they're barely out of puberty. But anyway, back to names. So in hoodoo, when I've kind of felt like I needed some special name to recognize and honor this sort of path I was on. And as far as I know, there's really no set rules or traditions concerning names in hoodoo. You have people who have perfectly ordinary names. For example, Denise Alvarado. Denise Alvarado is a really good friend of mine. As far as I know, that is her actual name. It's not something she made up. Without Denise, there would be no Secret of a Sissy Boy, my book, or Hoodoo and Conjure Quarterly, or the Hoodoo Almanac. But it's a perfect, it's a nice name, but it's just a perfectly ordinary name. It wouldn't really jump out at you. Kat Ironwood, a lot of people know her. Now, I do realize that she and her husband sort of chose the name Ironwood, excuse me, when they got married, to just sort of as a mutual name. Now, it sounds like a perfectly ordinary name again, but it wouldn't really jump out at you if you read it in the phone book. Zora Neale Hurston, that's another perfectly ordinary name. And a lot of people use just their plain name, and then they may get the honorific. So someone named Joyce might be known as Mama Joyce, and then I know there's other people who are brother this, sister that, or papa this, and hopefully they earn those honorifics. But you also have people who have more colorful names in Hoodoo, like Dr. Buzzard, Gula Jack, Madame Fufu, and Daddy Snake Legs. These are real interesting names, and they probably chose those names for a reason. It might have been a nickname, or they have an affinity for, Dr. Buzzard may have an affinity for buzzards. Gula Jack was from Gula Island. So me being something of a character myself, I wanted something, a separate identity from being plain old Dean Harris. And so I remember in 2005, and I looked this up before I made this video, I was watching a show called Supernatural. Now, if you don't know anything about this very basically show, it's about these two brothers. They are hunters, and they travel all over the country, and they hunt and kill monsters, evil witches, vampires, werewolves, ghosts, demons, and then other obscure sort of spirits and monsters and things. But in this episode, in the first season, their father had gone missing. They were trying to find him. And they had his journal. They opened up his journal to look for clues to where he may be. And they saw a line that said, "I went to Missouri and I found the truth." Well, the boys thought that that meant that he went to the state of Missouri somewhere. But it turned out that Missouri was a woman who lived in their hometown of Lawrence, Kansas, Missouri Mosley. And she was a psychic. And she opened their father's eyes to the supernatural world after their mother had been killed by a demon. It's a really great show. If you don't watch it, you should go check it, because they're in the last season. So anyway, I was thinking, well, that's an interesting name. Well, my name's Dean, and I'm from South Carolina, so how about Carolina Dean? And I liked the way that sounded. So I settled on Carolina Dean. Now later I found out that in the Marvel Universe, now that's like Spider-Man, X-Men, Fantastic Four, that whole group of heroes and people, there is a super heroine. She's actually a lesbian. Her name is Carolina Dean, except she spells Carolina with a K, and she has light-based power. So she's literally a light worker. But what's very interesting is, and I've only learned this a couple of months ago, I was studying my natal chart in relation to certain asteroids, and I discovered that there was an asteroid called Carolina with a C. It's asteroid number 235. It was discovered in 1883 by an astronomer named Johann Palisa, who was from Vienna, France, and he named the asteroid Carolina after a island called Caroline Island. But what's interesting to me is, at the time of my birth, this asteroid was at 21 degrees Virgo, and the sun was at 22 degrees Virgo. So what that means is, in my birth chart, the sun and asteroid Carolina were conjunct. They were only separated by 1 degree. And in astrology, the sun, among other things, basically represents your outward identity. So I think it's very interesting that all these years later, that I would name myself Carolina to sort of represent my evolving spirituality. So that's the story of how I became Carolina Dean, or how I named myself Carolina Dean. I'd love to hear all about your magical name and how you arrived at it. So feel free to drop a comment down there and let me know all about you. And I hope you have a chance to enjoy this beautiful day. Stay safe, wash your hands, and do practice social distancing while you're out there.